Hi, I'm Katie, and today we're going to be doing an OxyGeneo treatment for training purposes with my lovely model, Sue. Today we're going to be doing the Oxypod, looking at her skin, and she's a little bit more sensitive skin. I'm going to do the Oxypod Revive, and some of the key ingredients in that is ferulic acid, and there's a variety of antioxidants in it. It's a very gentle, refreshing treatment, helps with pigmentation and helps reduce the signs of aging. So first what we're going to do, I'm going to show you the machine. And the first stage of the treatment is typically when you're doing an anti-aging program, we're going to start off with radio frequency. And she just has freshly clean skin, so I do a nice cleansing on her first. Now we're going to do the radio frequency. So on the dialog box here, it's just been turned on. We would hit the manual button. We would go to tripolar, the tripolar treatment. I'm going to hit face, and I'm going to set the treatment. Typically, if I'm doing an eye lift, which is about really it's half the face, I'm doing about this much on the surface of each as a preparatory treatment before facial. It takes about 10 minutes per side, so I'm going to set the treatment for 20 minutes. And the program that I'm going to be doing really is when I'm tightening the top of the cheek, what that helps with is nasolabial folds. I'm going to go into the tear trough, eye bag, crow's feet, and of course I'm going to be doing the forehead up here. It's going to be doing a nice lift, which is going to be a nice eye lift. If I was going to be setting the treatment for a full face, I would probably do about 40 minutes. I would do 10 minutes on this jawline, 10 minutes on the upper face, 10 minutes on this jawline, and then 10 minutes on this portion of the upper face. So it'd be a 40-minute treatment. You'd schedule that for about an hour. In total, when you think of cleansing and probably putting a mask on, etc., you would charge roughly $200 for that facial. And but I'm just going to be doing as a preparatory eye lift treatment with the facial. Typically, we charge roughly about $100 for an eye lift with the facial, so it would be about a $250 treatment. So I'm set it for 20 minutes. My RF, because I'm going to be heating up quite a large area at once, I'm going to set that at 80. For you, when you're trying to do the treatments, I would suggest starting at about medium or 60, something like this, just so that if you pause at all, you won't hurt the person or make them uncomfortable. If you pause when you're doing radio frequency, of course those poles are really hot. It's going to feel like a curling iron or something on their skin, so you have to make sure that you have nice continuous flow. However, the radio frequency itself, because it's tripolar, doesn't spark, so you're very free to pick it up and put it down. If you want to change your hand positions, if you're getting a little tired, you can just pull it up and replace and start your treatment without any shock effect or anything like this. The benefit of the tripolar, and I've said this in other training materials, is there's more negatives than positive, making it always grounded, which makes it very comfortable for the skin. It also has a very condensed form of radio frequency, so we don't have a lot of heat loss in the tissue, and because there's more negatives, it creates magnetic resistance, casts the energy a little bit deeper into the skin than with your traditional bipolar. So right now I'm going to put on glycerin. This is our glycerin. So here's my glycerin. It's like a little pea size of glycerin is all I need. I place it and I sort of work it out away from the eye. I'm trying to of course I don't want to have glycerin in the eye itself, but I do want to get it as close as possible to the eye area. And I leave down here dry because I'm always keeping the skin nice and taut when I'm doing an eye treatment. Some people like to massage this on with the gloves. I like that, but just go through a lot of gloves when you're working with this much glycerin. It's very tacky and it's hard to come off. So I just find you would go through a lot of glove changing if you're hand massaging it in, but it does feel nice. So just a nice thin layer like this. Now I'm going to go back to my machine. I'm going to hit the little on button here, and I'm going to start my treatment. I have to turn this button on to have it on hot like to turn it on, and away we go. So when I'm doing the treatment, I like to sort of have my cord wrapped so it doesn't come across the client's face. And always make sure that you're having it perpendicular to the skin so all the poles are in the tissue very nicely. And I just sort of go on an upward swing along the eye bone. So when I eventually increase my area, I'm literally going all the way around the eye, but always up on the eye area so you're not pulling down on that delicate skin. And I'm just sort of massaging it in. I'm going rather slow at the beginning. And just always move the handpiece to the contour of the face. And that just feels like a nice stone massage. So the pattern is almost like an eye patch when you think about it. I'm going lower on the cheek, and then I come up, tear trough, eye bag, crow's feet, and around. I never go in a back and forth motion because those back and forths create hot spots where the poles have temporarily paused. And I can feel her skin getting nice and warm. I have it on high, so it literally, the light turns on when it's 41 degrees Celsius. So sometimes I can feel the tissues nice and warm. I don't necessarily even care if it turns orange because I know it's nice and pink and hot. Because even at 41 or even at 39, it would be causing good collagen renewal. But ideally, you'd have an orange light come onto the handpiece when you're doing these treatments. If you have it at a lower setting, you have to make sure that you have the orange light on. And there she goes, that's it. So now that it's orange and the light is on, I'm just going to increase my area. I'm going to go up the bone and then down around the brow. I'm literally treating on the bone below the eyebrow and then coming back over the eyebrow to return. So I'm going to be giving a really nice eye lift. And I could probably have this done to myself all day because I really like this. It feels very, very nice. It feels like a nice hot stone massage. And I lengthen and expand the skin when I'm coming up. And then I return. Expand the skin to come up so I get really nice and close to the eye area without getting into the orbital bone, of course. And then I come back. And sometimes because of the curvature, one of my poles might be up a little bit because I'm trying to get quite close down into the lid area. It doesn't shock the client if that happens. And you do not really apply pressure when you're doing this treatment. There's a little thermometer in it. It would feel a little scratchy if you did not. So to do the lower face is very easy. We just sort of do like a nice figure 8 underneath the jawline. And we do this for a number of minutes until she's nicely heated. When I'm coming up to the second layer of the tissue, I usually come up traverse right here in front of the ear, because there's no jawline there or no bone, so I can easily go from lower jawline to upper jawline to have really nice smooth treatment. I just find usually if it's on the jawline itself, it's really kind of bumpy and uncomfortable because you have those poles dragging on the bone. So normally I'm just going below and above, and this is going to do a nice heating and really nice treatment for jowls, for tightening. And I'm just going back and forth in this sort of pattern. You can do figure eights, or you can just do big ovals on both sides, and that's how easy it is. You would do this area if you were going to be doing a full face. You would do this area for about 10 minutes, and she's going to be nice and toasty warm in this whole area if you're doing it for that long. Again, for a full face is about 10 minutes per quarter of the face. And you can see here I'm doing all along the jawline very, very nicely, and from the cheek up is done with our eye lift, so that's a different quarter. So you're doing this quarter just basically back and forth above and below the jawline, transitioning across just in front of the ear. And if you want to do an eye lift, then to do a full face, you would do the quarter, which I've shown. Most of the forehead is covered when I'm doing an eye lift, but if someone has glabella issues, those nasty number 11s, I'm normally doing like nice circles in the area or nice figure eights in the area to help reduce those lines. If someone has more of a bony texture, I'm usually just sort of softly pushing down on the headband just to thicken this tissue there a little bit so it heats up a little nicer, and it will feel a lot more comfortable for the client. So now I'm done. I'm going to wipe off all the glycerin. You could possibly do another wash with this. I just find her skin was already clean, and it's just glycerin, and it'll all come off with the exfoliation that I'm going to do right now anyway. So I'm not too concerned about any kind of residual. I'm just going to nicely wipe off everything. And then I'm going to go to part 2 of the OxyGeneo Oxypod Revive. And this is what our treatment looks like. This is what the box looks like. And the treatment in the new Oxypods is done a little bit different than our old traditional treatments. It consists of a Oxypod that looks like this, and this is our exfoliating cap. We're going to remove the foil and put that on our exfoliating tip. And these guys are a little stubborn sometimes, so I'm just gonna poke through. So there's no need to even touch the tip. I am just going to click it on. It's very easy to click on. Our new Oxypods have it's taller and a little bit sharper on the edges. That's just so we have a little bit more product to work with when we're doing the treatment. And our exfoliating tip is ready to go. The machine now says session pause because we had the radio frequency handpiece on. Now we're going to change it to the exfoliation. So I'm going to use the little return button here in the corner. I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to go OxyGeneo. It is already preset for 5 minutes, which is fine. The vibration is set at 40. So these two indicators here, this is the level of vibration. The vibration of the handpiece helps create the gas. It's really sort of mixing up the products. And I find 4 is fine. I find if it's too rattly, clients don't like the noise. The 5 minutes is perfect for the new Oxypod treatments because they have a little bit more intense ingredients. They're higher in concentrated, so I'm only doing a 5-minute exfoliation with them. If someone had really thick or congested skin, you might add a minute or 2 onto that. The older Neo Brights and Neo Revives are 8 minutes of exfoliation, so the time changes from one type of treatment to the next alters a little bit. So here's our primer gel, and it is just a water-based gel. There's no actives in it whatsoever. And we just put this on the face. Basically, it's the liquid that we're going to be mixing our Oxypod with. The Oxypod is the portion of the treatment that actually contains all of those actives. They're kept in a solid state without preservative, and when we mix them up, they become active, and they're a much higher concentration than something that would have been in liquid form or in an envelope form. So I'm just going to apply the entire packet of gel and on the skin here. Make sure it's well coated. Don't leave anything in the pack. Why? It's important to have enough gel on the skin to create the gas. We're going to be mixing up the product on the skin, and of course, as you know, the magic of the OxyGeneo is to create a lot of carbon dioxide. If we didn't have enough gel, we wouldn't have that carbon dioxide foam to prepare the skin. So we are just going to layer a good amount of gel everywhere. And this video is just the second part. Everybody watching this should have went through their theory anyway, so I'm not going to go too much into all the actives, etc., because you would have that in your PowerPoint presentation. You can refer back to that, as well as all the indications and contraindications. Just please refer to your training manual. So there, it's totally empty. I applied all the gel, and now I'm going to start my Oxypod. So now I'm just going to hit the button here to start my handpiece, and I'm going to hit the button here, and it's going to start to go. When I start the treatment, you can see immediately, as soon as the Oxypod hits that gel, it starts to create this marvelous foam, and that is a carbon dioxide foam. And it is actually releasing all of those amazing actives in our Oxypod. So again, there's ferulic acid and vitamin C and retinol palmitate, I believe, is in this one. So there's a lot of different amazing ingredients in this, which is really suitable for dry and dehydrated skin. And so the first minute, I go around this face quite quickly just to make sure that I have that foam, that gassing happening all over the skin, because I want to have the entire face oxygenizing through the whole treatment. Now that I've activated the product, I'm going to take my time and just do nice sweeping motions, not much pressure, just let it glide on the skin. Make sure you do a nice little scrub in the nose area to clean out any comedones and over the lip. And I just take my time and I just make sure that everything is well covered and that I spend an even amount of time on both sides of the face. Now, if someone had really congested skin, I might be doing more of a circular motion. That feels a little bit more aggressive when you're doing those treatments. But if someone had more comedones and things like this, I might be doing a different hand. But for most anti-aging and most skin types, just that nice gentle sweeping is fine. Just always lifting up and doing nice coverage in the area. Always make sure that you get into that nose area, because that's an area that everybody wants to have detoxed. So this is actually releasing actives. It's manually exfoliating, because as we're doing this, the product itself is starting to break down and becomes rougher, so it becomes like a buffing, almost like microdermabrasion, and that gas is creating an oxygenating environment for the skin. Make sure that you're just nice and gentle with the face, that you're not over giving too much pressure, because that feels scratchy on the skin. that ding was the 1 minute reminder that the treatment's going to end soon and our exfoliation time is almost over. Now, when you're doing these treatments, if the client has anything raised, like moles or keratosis or something like this, anything that's inflamed, you should be avoiding it because you don't want to exfoliate over anything that's inflamed. And the treatment stopped. Now you can see here, it's still gassing quite a bit. So say the client had a pustule or some type of area that is more sensitive that I had to avoid, I would take this time and just put the handpiece on, and you can see how it just foams on contact. What that does is it draws, the carbon dioxide is going to draw oxygenated blood up into the area of the lesion, and it's going to help heal the area much quicker because of the interaction of carbon dioxide and oxygen. So you can easily use this as a spot treatment before you discard the puck. Now you just take the puck off like this. If someone was just coming off of an airline and they were exhausted and they have the discoloration underneath the eyes from lack of oxygen, you can always just hold the puck like this very delicately, make sure that you don't get any product in their eyes, and just sort of allow the area to gas and create that foam in the area, and it's going to draw oxygenated blood up in the area, and it's really going to make a nice difference in any kind of under eye issues, especially when it's associated with poor microcirculation and exhaustion. So I am now going to remove all my product, and I usually use some disposable cloths before I get into my cloths because it is all of the, depending on the color of the Oxypod, it can make quite a mess on your linens. So I normally just remove the bulk of the product with the disposable cloth, and then I'm going to do a nice steam towel just to keep that oxygenated blood up to the surface of the skin. And plus it feels amazing, and it helps remove any residual product. Now you notice that we have an excellent exfoliation experience with this treatment, but because we're not using suction, we're not going to damage any fine capillaries in the area. So you get sort of the best in both worlds. You're getting a really good oxygenation, a really pristine exfoliation, but we're not causing any undue stress on the capillaries in the area. So now I'm going to do a nice steam cloth and prep her for the gel that we're going to be applying in a minute. So now I'm going to just make my cross T with my nice hot cloth, and I'm just going to do a nice, I'm going to make sure she can breathe, but I'm going to do a nice steam cloth on the skin. It's going to keep all those pores open to receive my next portion of the treatment, and it's going to help me remove any residual debris and product from the skin before I add my infusion ingredients. So I'm going to clean everything else off. And just a nice firm sweep to make sure that none of that grit is on the skin. For our next segment of the treatment. Now I'm going to change the radio frequency while the client is resting, and lots of times I have her rest with a nice steam towel on her face. I am going to change the radio frequency handpiece with the ultrasound handpiece because I'm going to do ultrasound next, and I'm going to work an infusion treatment. So what's very important is there's a line on the handpieces like this, and there's a little notch on the in the back port of this handpiece. Make sure that the notch is always aligned. They're usually at either 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock, normally at 3 o'clock So just make sure that you've had the notches aligned, and I'm going to remove this handpiece and put the ultrasound on. And it just clicks in like that. So now I'm going to, you'll see that the ultrasound is now illuminated. I'm going to hit ultrasound, and it's set at 6 minutes. And now I'm going to apply my rejuvenating serum. Just like with the primer gel, just make sure that you apply the entire packet of rejuvenating serum on her. Some of the active ingredients here is argan oil, jojoba. What we're doing right now is we're adding non-comedogenic oils to sort of replace the lipid barrier that I just removed with the exfoliation treatment. And we're also adding a product, an ingredient called Edelweiss, which is an amazing product. It's a very powerful antioxidant, helps the skin to retain water, so it's great for hydration, and it also protects the skin from UV radiation. When you think of the Edelweiss plant, it is living in the Alps, which is way above the water table, and it's very close to the sun, so it's really suffering in a poor environment of low moisture, high radiation, and harsh conditions. So we're using this plant to sort of help maintain our skin's integrity, to keep it free from sun damage, and to keep it nicely hydrated. So I'm just going to apply it everywhere here, and I'm going to work it in with the ultrasound. As with the other hand pieces, just hit the arrow on the machine itself. Make sure with the ultrasound you always have the tip on before you hit your button and turn it on. It has to be connected to the skin with that gel to ensure that the frequency has a place to go. With all ultrasounds, it's very important that there's contact with product. You can't just have this handpiece in the air turned on, because the crystal inside that creates this wave could crack and be damaged. So always make sure that you don't lift the handpiece of the ultrasound, and if the light ever turns orange, it means that all the product's been infused and there's not enough conductor on the skin. So don't damage your handpiece. Make sure it's always in good contact with product. I'm going to add this tip to the exfoliation handpiece, and we're going to set it for 6 minutes. It's already pre-cued here on the dialog box. And what this is good for is for lymphatic drainage. It adds an element of relaxation to the treatment. It's great for microcirculation, and the relaxed muscle of the face makes them walk out of the clinic just looking more refreshed, and people with TMJ even like it because it's really relaxing on the muscles in those areas and de-stressor. So now we're going to do a massage. I like to use nice sweeping motions when I'm doing this, all along the area, working from the inside out, a little bit more pressure going up and lighter pressure when I'm returning the tip. Some nice figure eights along the temple, feel really nice. depending on your time frame, you might use anywhere between 2 minutes to 6 minutes of that type of massage. Depends how much product you have left on the skin. You might have another serum that you want to work in with that massage tip as well. But I always like to finish off with hand massage. So there's always a little bit of residual left. Everybody wants to have that personal touch. So I would finish off the facial with hand massage. Make sure that you get it really nice into the eye area without, of course, going into the eye. And just make sure that all of that product is used up. You can see how much product we put on the skin beforehand, and it has been all absorbed over the course of the ultrasound, the massage, the tip massage, and the hand massage. Pretty much all of the product has been absorbed into the skin, so she's going to feel really nice and hydrated from having this treatment done. Now, I still like to do a nice steam towel at the end. Some people like to, have this absorb on the way out. I find that it still will go almost like a gommage if you haven't removed any kind of residual on the time. So I still like sometimes to put a nice massage on, a steam towel on, make sure that there's any residual that's on the skin, that it's been removed, and you can put a mask on afterwards. Some of you like to use circadian masks. You can use the dermostamp mask as well. You can put on the Ready Medical with growth factors if someone was indicated for that. Also, if someone had medium to mild to medium grade acne, you might use our Ready Medical for acne after this. So there's a lot you can do with this treatment afterwards, and we leave that for your discretion as you meet your client's needs. If you were going to be doing any kind of extractions with that, you would have done it after the exfoliation, and after we steam it off, you do the extraction, sanitization, and then do the infusion afterwards. But for now, and now I'm going to finish her off. I'm going to wipe off any residual. I'm going to add some of the Accelerus CC cream so that she can go home nicely matted and protected from the sun. And that's the end of our treatment.